Hello, welcome everyone to the first ever Alcts 101 webinar. We are all so glad that you could be with us today. I hope that you can see an opening slide here. If you cannot, somebody please give me a heads up. Very good. All right. I'm Susan Wynn, and I'm the current chair of the Alcts Membership Committee. And today's webinar is being brought to you by the Membership Committee and the Alcts New Member Interest Group, or ANMIG. We have a bit of housekeeping to do as we get started, just some obligatory notes. First of all, this webinar is being recorded. You will receive the slides and a link to the recording within a few days. The recording is also going to be freely available on the Alcts YouTube channel shortly afterwards. You will also receive by email an evaluation survey for this webinar. And because this is the first time that we're doing Alcts 101 as a webinar, we would really love to hear your feedback on how we might be able to improve it in the future. If you do wish to chat amongst yourselves during the webinar, please use the hashtag AlctsCE on Twitter. Do keep in mind, though, that the speakers will not be able to monitor the Twitter feed live, although we will go back and look at it afterwards. So we have an assignment for you today. We want you to ask questions. We probably have a very large audience today, but we still want to make this as interactive as possible. If you have questions for our speakers at any time, type them in the question box. We have a couple of membership committee members on hand to help with your questions, as well as speakers. The other thing we want to ask you to do is to let us know if there are any topics, Alcts-related topics, that you would like to discuss further in a text or a video chat to be scheduled later. So let us know about that as well. For example, if you would like to learn more about one of the Alcts sections, which Carrie Cassio will be talking about a little bit later, then let us know, hey, I'd like to hear more about the continuing resources section or preservation and reformatting section. Or if you just want to know more about how do I get involved, let us know what topics you'd like to discuss further. So of course this is Alcts 101, and if you could read the fine print under the Alcts logo on the first slide, you know that Alcts stands for Association for Library Collections and Technical Services. But that name really doesn't convey everything that Alcts is and does. So I tried to capture in this word cloud some of the themes and ideas and topics and activities and represent them here. And so I hope that you're picking out some phrases and words that are relevant to your interests. But even this doesn't tell you the whole story. Alcts is not just about activities or topics. It's about people and a network of colleagues who help and support each other while we're advancing the profession. So we've assembled a team of great speakers from Alcts, officers of Alcts and members just like you who will share what Alcts is all about. And they'll help you explore many of the opportunities to find your home in Alcts, as well as many of the benefits of membership. Not just the benefits of being a member, but the even greater benefits you can gain by being actively involved in your association. Each of us today is going to wrap up our short remarks with our favorite Alcts or ALA tip. So mine is, do you need to learn more about what a particular committee or group does? Maybe you want to know beyond the official charge, which sometimes can be a little vague. My tip is to take a look at the reports that committees, interest groups, and other groups submit to Alcts News, which Rebecca Mugridge is going to talk about a little bit later. These reports will give you a little bit better glimpse about what committees and groups actually do. And although those reports are submitted usually around conference time, don't let that discourage you if you can't attend conferences, because much of the work goes on virtually and in between conferences. But that's just a way to learn a little bit more about what committees actually do. So our first speaker is Erin Boyd. Erin is a recently appointed Alcts Director at Large, and she was also one of the co-chairs of the Alcts New Members Interest Group last year. Take it away, Erin.
Hello everyone, my name is Erin Boyd. I'm here today to talk briefly about my Alcts experience. I currently work as the Technical Services Supervisor at the Irving Public Library in Irving, Texas. I've been in this position for 9 months, but I've been a librarian for 6 years. I've been an Alcts member for 5 years. I'm currently serving a term on the Alcts Board of Directors as Director at Large, and I'm also the Alcts representative to the ALA Website Advisory Committee. I became involved in Alcts after I attended an in-person Alcts 101 at the 2010 ALA conference in Washington, D.C. I'd recently accepted my first official librarian position as a cataloger, and I was looking to get involved in an organization that catered to my specific focus and issues. I also wanted to get more involved in the greater technical services community, especially since I was a new librarian. At that meeting, I met a lot of great individuals who spoke passionately about the organization, explaining the different levels of committees and interest groups and easy ways to get involved. It was at this meeting that I knew this division was for me. I had enjoyed chatting with current members and listening to what they had to say about the division. It was from this session that I received my first Alcts appointment, which was on the Alcts Collection Management Section's Continuing Education Committee. After that appointment, I slowly started getting involved in the organization. I volunteered to serve as a web coordinator for the Alcts New Members Interest Group after I saw a call for officers. From web coordinator, I accepted a co-vice chair position and co-chaired the interest group with Emily Sanford last year. Being involved in this group helped me to not only learn more about the division as a whole, but it helped me to become more engaged in the division. It also led to an appointment on the Alcts Division Level Continuing Education Committee. I credit the Alcts New Members Interest Group for my involvement in Alcts and enjoyed helping other new members find their way in the organization. Alcts has done a great deal for me in my professional life. I have had the great fortune to meet individuals in my field that I would not have had the opportunity to meet if it was not for this organization. It has helped me to develop a network of colleagues, mentors, and friends that I can turn to for advice and counsel. The division has also offered great opportunities for professional development and continuing education offerings that I've taken advantage of in person at conferences or virtually through webinars and e-forums. In closing, my best piece of Alcts advice, if you are just starting out or want to get more involved, is to ask questions, whether it be in person or via email. If you hear about an opening or are interested in becoming more involved, don't be afraid to ask questions or fill out the volunteer form. You can also read more about member experiences in the Alcts News section, My Alcts Experience. And for my quick Alcts tip, Alcts has developed an advocacy portal specific to technical services. Within it are bibliographies, resources, and sample elevator speeches. Thank you for your time, and I will now turn the session over to Elaine Franco, who is the chair of the Alcts Affiliate Relations Committee. Elaine?
Thank you. The Alcts affiliate groups are typically technical services sections or interest groups within state or regional library associations, but any technical services group with 10 or more participants whose purpose and activities do not conflict with those of Alcts may apply for affiliation. The affiliate groups are not Alcts chapters, but have more of a dotted line connection to Alcts. Alcts places no restrictions on an affiliate group structure or membership. The group does not pay dues to Alcts, and no funding is appropriated to affiliates from Alcts. What then is gained through affiliation? Basically, the potential for networking with Alcts and other affiliate groups in order to share information, best practices, ideas for programs, and continuing education. The Affiliate Relations Committee serves as the connecting link between Alcts and the affiliate groups. It also serves as a hub for connecting the affiliate groups with each other. Service and experience within an affiliate group is a definite asset for appointment to this committee, so be sure to mention it on your volunteer form if affiliate relations is a possible committee choice for you. Due to the nature of the committee's work, maintaining contact with affiliate groups between conferences, virtual committee membership is a possibility. The Affiliate Relations Committee maintains the directory of Alcts affiliates located on ALA Connect and the Alcts affiliates email list. The directory, arranged alphabetically by state, includes contact information for each affiliate and a link to the group's website. Subscribers to the email list include, but are not limited to, the contact persons listed in the directory, who are encouraged to forward messages to the members of their groups. All subscribers, currently 214, may post to the list. Messages includes announcements of Alcts continuing education offerings, announcements of selected Alcts activities and volunteer opportunities, and announcements from the affiliates regarding their own programs, workshops, and other activities. The directory and the email list can serve as resources for affiliate groups in learning about the activities of other groups, and perhaps borrowing some ideas for program topics or suggestions for effective workshop presenters. The directory is also available as a guide to new librarians or those new to a geographic area who are interested in participating in local technical services activities or registering for local workshops. Here's a recent example of successful affiliate networking. Julie Moore developed a cataloging special formats workshop for the California Library Association Technical Services Interest Group and presented it in April 2014 in Fresno, California. She was invited to present a similar workshop in September in Long Beach, California for the Southern California Technical Processes Group, which is another Alcts affiliate in California. In November 2014, Julie presented a pre-conference workshop at the combined Mountain Plains Library Association, Arizona Library Association Conference in Scottsdale, Arizona. The latest iteration, June 2015 in San Francisco, as an Alcts pre-conference on cataloging special formats as applied to children's literature. Each year, the affiliate groups are encouraged to volunteer their own successful programs to be repeated or excerpted in a presentation at the ALA Annual Conference, which is known as the Alcts Affiliates Showcase. The Affiliate Relations Committee selects one or more of these programs to fill a 1-hour Saturday afternoon conference slot. One of the presentations from 2014 has been developed into an Alcts webinar. The Affiliate Showcase has provided several librarians with their first experience of presenting at ALA. A participant in the first Affiliate Showcase in 2012 was simultaneously a first-time ALA conference presenter and a first-time ALA conference attendee, which leads to my Alcts tip. Professional activity at the state or local level can be leveraged into Alcts participation. Thank you. Our next speaker is Alyssa Gould, co-chair of the Alcts New Members Interest Group, or ANMIG.
Hi everyone. As Elaine said, my name is Alyssa, and I'm the current co-chair of the Alcts New Member Interest Group and also the book review editor of Alcts. I'm here to talk about how to get involved with Alcts when you can't physically attend conferences. Alcts offers several ways to get involved virtually. We know that every workplace doesn't offer travel benefits, and there are often barriers that prevent you from coming to conferences. We want to hear the voices of everyone in Alcts, and virtual committee membership is a great low-cost way to get started. Several Alcts committees specifically ask for virtual committee members, as do Alcts award juries. These members are not expected to attend conferences in order to participate in committee work, but instead contribute through regular virtual meetings, often conducted through technology such as Google Hangouts, phone calls, emails, or virtual meeting software such as GoToMeeting, what we're using today. Browse through the committee descriptions on the Alcts website to find committees that solicit such members. And remember, feel free to email the committee chair for the committee you're interested in and just ask how to get involved. They'll be glad to hear from you. Another way to get involved is through publishing. Authors are often needed for books, articles, and think papers through the following Alcts publications. The first one is Library Resources and Technical Services, or LIRTS, and that is our peer-reviewed journal. This quarterly publication is made available to you with your Alcts membership and is now available electronic only. You can read about research projects done by peers within the field of technical services, Be inspired to conduct your own research study at your own institution, or volunteer to review the current books in the field. The 7 selectors guides are pretty self-explanatory. They're guides to help individuals just thrown into the areas of collection development. Acquisitions and collections guides are also great resources for folks just starting out in those 2 fields. Another resource is the Alcts News, which Rebecca will talk about in more depth after me. Another one is the Alcts Monographs, which offer in-depth coverage of technical services issues. This content is often contributed by previous exhibitors or experts in the field. And lastly, Z687 is a collection of white papers and think pieces on the future of technical services. You can propose a topic to contribute to this series. We hope that over your career and involvement in Alcts, you consume and use these publications, as well as consider contributing to the scholarly conversation through the writing of articles, book chapters, books, or think pieces as your knowledge and skills expand. Now, as you're just getting started out, there is one quick way to get involved with publishing, by volunteering to be a book reviewer for Alcts. And, as you might have heard a couple slides ago, I am the book review editor. I see all sorts of upcoming books on topics related to collection development, acquisitions, cataloging, and preservation, and decide what books will be of most interest to the Alcts readers, which are all of the Alcts readers. I keep a database of book reviewers and their interests, and try my best to match up reviewers with a topic of interest to them. Everyone who volunteers will eventually have a chance to review a book based on topic availability and the order in which you volunteered. Book reviewers have about 2 to 3 months to read the book, write a review according to the guidelines, and get it back to me. Book reviewing is a really great way to begin contributing to the profession through publishing. It's also convenient because you can do this work virtually and gives you a chance to see the current thoughts in the profession. I'd love for you to use the link on the slide and volunteer and see how accessible publishing with Alcts is. Another way that you can get involved virtually is through e-communities and continuing education. ALA Connect is a great online space for ALA communities to work and connect together online. With your ALA membership, you automatically have access to this resource. You can find out what interest groups are doing and even be able to access presentations after the conference if you couldn't attend. Other features such as chat forums are available. The Alcts News Member Interest Group hosts free monthly chats to discuss issues of relevance to new Alcts members, such as interviewing for a job, blended technical services jobs, how to stay involved when you're or underemployed, and more. There are also official blogs of various Alcts groups that you can follow, and listservs where you can stay up to date on what's going on with Alcts and the technical services communities, as well as ask questions and connect with colleagues. One of my favorite ways to do this is through the Alcts e-forums, which are monthly email conversations hosted by Alcts colleagues on timely topics such as analytics for electronic resources, linked data, work-life balance, and collection evaluation and assessment. It's a great place to learn as well as contribute your own experiences. As you probably noticed, the e-communities, especially the e-forums, often take on a more casual form of continuing education. More formal ways to learn include Alcts webinars, such as this one, and web courses. Many of these options are available for a small fee. The webinars are an hour-long presentation on emerging or important topics, such as preserving scholarship, cataloging ebooks, and the move from MARC to BibFrame. The web courses are more time-intensive as they're offered over a series of weeks on fundamental topics, covering the basics of many areas of technical services. So as you can see, continuing education is offered on a variety of topics at various levels. I hope you will use and enjoy these resources and also contribute to them as you move along in your careers. And lastly, my piece of advice about Alcts is to remember that these Alcts webinars are made freely available on the Alcts YouTube channel 4 months after the original presentation, which is another great way to get a hold of these resources. So thank you for your attention. Now I'd like to introduce Rebecca Mugridge, the Alcts News Editor.
Hello everyone, my name is Rebecca Mugridge and I'm the Alcts News Editor. I'm going to talk to you today about how to keep up with everything going on in Alcts. First, though, I wanted to make a case for why you would want to keep up with Alcts. First of all, it's a great way to learn about new opportunities to publish or present at conferences or to provide input on standards important to our field. Keeping up through our newsletter, website, or discussion list gives you a chance to share your thoughts and opinions on topics important to our profession. By paying attention to what's going on within Alcts, you can build your professional network of colleagues, and it's a great way to make, keep, and reconnect with friends from all over the country. You've already heard about some of Alcts publications, such as Alcts, our peer-reviewed journal. Alcts News is another resource that you can use as a source of information for what's going on in Alcts and in our profession. A few years ago, Alcts News went from being published quarterly to being a truly integrating web resource. News articles are published as they're ready rather than being compiled into a specific issue. This allows the news to be more timely and responsive to what's going on in Alcts. In the news, you'll find feature articles, regularly published columns, announcements, conference reports, upcoming events, and more. You can sign up for the RSS feed, and if you do, you can expect to be notified of 2 to 3 new posts a week so the traffic isn't burdensome. Alcts Central is another great source for news about Alcts. Until recently, this list was called Alcts Leaders. It was open to anyone, but committee members and chairs were automatically added to the list. Last fall, the list name was changed to make it more clear that the list is open to all Alcts members, and currently the list includes 657 members. The traffic isn't heavy, though it does increase around conference time. Typical posts include program announcements, CE offerings, member news, and much, much more. The next slide shows the subscription information for Alcts Central. I'm not going to go over this in detail, but I hope you'll consider subscribing after this webinar. It only takes a few minutes. Next, I'm going to talk about the Alcts website. The Alcts website is a great source of information about Alcts. This is where I go to find out about committees and rosters as well as other news about Alcts. Sections of the website provide links to recent posts in the Alcts News, ALA Connect, and other news releases. Upcoming special events are highlighted, such as Preservation Week or new CE offerings. My tip before I go is that I like to follow groups that I'm interested in on ALA Connect. For instance, I follow the Technical Services Directors of Large Research Libraries group, which is called Big Heads, on the ALA Connect website, and then I get announcements about their agendas and their round-robin reports before conferences. Now I'm going to turn it over to Carrie Cassio, Alcts Executive Director, who will talk about social media.
Hello everybody, I'm Carrie Cassio. I am the Executive Director of Alcts. I have been the Executive Director of Alcts for officially less than a month now. I started here in January. Before that, I was an Alcts member just like you or many of you are thinking of doing. So I joined Alcts in 2006 and kind of went into the whole thing not really knowing anything about ALA, not really knowing anything about Alcts, and I was lucky enough to be one of the first emerging leaders. So I did get to learn a lot about the ALA structure that way, and that did kind of help demystify things for me. So I'm going to try to help do that for you. I also put my dog on the slide. If you do follow me on Twitter, I do tweet a lot about libraries and a lot about my dog. So you can always see Violet. That's a picture of her in warmer days as we are looking at snow outside on the ground here in Chicago. So Alcts is one of 11 ALA divisions. And, you know, the divisions don't exist without ALA. Sometimes we do get that question, can't I just join you as a division? Can't I just kind of take this little piece of ALA and for a much more reduced price get involved with that? And we wish we could do that, but ALA really builds the structure that we need to exist. They have the offices, the HR, the IT, all of that. We kind of work together. But of course, we also support ALA in their missions of visibility for libraries and librarians, advocacy for all of the things that we do. And that's something that you really shouldn't lose sight of when you are getting your membership to both ALA and a division like Alcts. We have a staff of, well, I guess there's 6 of us now. No, 5 of us. Sorry, I can't count. The main staff is me. I'm Christine McConnell, who does our publications and membership. Julie Reese, who works on continuing education and meetings. We also have some part-time staff. We have Maddie and Emily. They do a lot of work to make the webinars happen and make the web courses happen behind the scenes. And sometimes you'll see their names come up. There are, demystifying the structure of Alcts, I'm going to take a stab at it here. So we have this great slide that we put together that tries to show how we're all connected. We have 5 sections. There's no additional cost to join the section. So when you become an Alcts member, you can join every one of these for no additional cost. What that gets you is the ability to serve in any of those sections on a section committee. It also gets you the ability to vote for the officers of each of those sections. We have the acquisitions section, which talks about acquisitions in all formats, including electronic. Cataloging and metadata management section, also known as CAMS. And they're our largest section, and they deal with the organization of resources at a small and a large scale. The collection management section, or CMS, they do collection selection, evaluation, and assessment. So if those are things that you're dealing with at your library, that's a good place for you. Continuing resources does serials in all formats, online, the cataloging, the management of them. So if you're a serials librarian or an e-resources librarian, that's a really great place for you. Preservation and reformatting section, we call that PARS, and they deal with the preservation of physical material, but they also deal with digitization. And reformatting in that way used to be reformatting on, microfilm or something like that, and also digital preservation. So if those are some of the buzzwords that you have in your job or things that you're interested in, PARS has some places for you there. We have over 40 interest groups, and they span either at the division level or at the section level. And interest groups are also a really great place to get started. A lot of them are simple discussions, roundtable discussions, or they turn on their own programs at the annual conference. Sometimes there's a panel of speakers. You'll often see a call for speakers, and that'll go out on something like Alcts Central. So keep interest groups in mind. That's the kind of place where if you show up and they're looking for a new chair, there's usually a chair and a vice chair or co-chairs. If you're willing to help out, if it's something that you're really interested in and you want to help plan something for the next conference, raise your hand, and it's a really easy way to get involved. Now, if there's something that you are interested in, if there's an interest group in your head that you don't see on this quite large list, remember that you can always create your own interest group. All you need is to create a petition and get 10 signatures, and then it goes through the process through our Organization and Bylaws Committee and then to the Alcts Board, or through the section committees as well, the section executive committees. Some of the more recent ones that have come through is the Alcts New Member Interest Group, or ANMIG. They've been extremely successful. It's been wonderful to see it grow over the last couple of years since they've been created. Another one that has been quite popular that is more recent is the Library Code Year, and we share that one with LIDA. So that is another example of a recent one that's kind of a hot topic. People were really talking about it, and we were able to make it happen. So moving into a little bit of social media, you can always follow me. My handle was on the other slide at Carrie Brary, but we also have Facebook accounts for Alcts, and we have an account for the Alcts New Members Interest Group. There are also Twitter accounts for those two groups, as well as our CE, so you can see what kind of events are coming. So if you want to know what webinars are coming up, if you want to know web courses and e-forums, that CE handle is a good one to follow. Alyssa already talked a bit about Connect. Remember, no ALA membership is needed, so if you're at the point where you're not a member of ALA or a member of Alcts, you can still create an account in ALA Connect and kind of listen in on those conversations like what Rebecca was talking about. So you can kind of be a fly on the wall and see what the topics are, what the trends are that some of these really large library managers are talking about, or even you want to follow something like Library Code Year and see what they're talking about, you can go in and listen in on that. You do need an account to do any of our chats. I really do recommend those ANMIG chats every month. They're really wonderful, and we do have their transcripts saved in there from previous ones as well. So I'll close with my favorite tip. You can contact the Alcts office staff at any time. We really do want to hear from you. So think about us as like your reference desk. You know, we're waiting, we're sitting here, we're waiting, we want the questions. So please reach out to us, and if you're not sure who to start with, you can always start with me, and I'd be happy to talk with you or point you in the right direction. So I'm going to pass it over now to Mary Page, our current Alcts president.
Thank you, Carrie. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm here to say that Alcts is an amazing organization with amazing members, and we would be delighted to have you join us if you're not yet a member, or get actively involved if you are a member. Alcts is the organization for professionals in collections, acquisitions, cataloging, metadata, preservation, and serials. We provide educational and professional development opportunities in those areas and more, such as leadership development. And the best thing is, we are fun. This year at Midwinter, we launched Alcts Fest, a party and reception for members and friends. It's a fun and funny event, and I hope you can join us next year in Boston 2016. We also run contests during the conference, such as a scavenger hunt and a trivia test. It sounds a little corny, but it's really a lot of fun, and we give out really valuable prizes, such as a free conference registration. So it's truly worth your while to play. And most important, we network. You will build your own professional network within Alcts. Alcts is my professional community, and through Alcts, I have friends and colleagues throughout the United States. In my career, I've been through 3 ILS system migrations, but through Alcts, I know a librarian on every ILS out there, and I've called on them for advice and assistance through these migrations. They've been wonderful, sharing documentations and procedures and more. So not only does Alcts provide you with professional development and service opportunities, it provides real value in your day job. And that said, my tip is in ALA Connect, you can search member names. I think there's a screenshot of that at the end. This is one of these things that I didn't know for the longest time, and when I discovered it, I thought, wow, I must be the only person on the planet who hasn't used this, but I mentioned it to a few other people and they didn't know either. So I'm sharing that little tip with you. You can search for individuals and see what their ALA involvement is. That said, let me pass along to Norm Medeiros, our President-elect. Norm?
Thank you, Mary. Well, I'm thrilled by the number of individuals attending today's webinar. Thanks for taking the time to learn more about Alcts. You've already heard a lot of useful information about the association. I just want to take a few minutes to augment and amplify some of what my Alcts colleagues have mentioned. Alcts has been my professional home for nearly all of my career. When I joined, I was a catalog librarian, and the programs and publications that emanated from Alcts were incredibly valuable at building my knowledge. A couple of years after joining Alcts, I became active, serving first on an award jury and later on various committees, eventually moving into leadership positions as committee chair, director at large, and now president-elect. Along the way, I've learned a great deal, not just about collections and technical services, but about running an effective meeting, collaborating with colleagues, and project management. These skills and others, which Alcts helped instill in me, I put to use every day in the work that I do at Haverford College. I'm a better librarian, co-worker, mentor, and leader as a result of my Alcts involvement. There are numerous benefits to Alcts membership, but without question, the single most valuable benefit is the network of colleagues that Mary just mentioned. I have come to know so many talented, dedicated, and generous individuals I would otherwise have never met had it not been for my participation in Alcts. More importantly, I can pick up the phone or email these colleagues when I need their expertise, and they will be there to help. It's an invaluable resource. I know some of you attending are library school students or just starting out in your careers. Being a part of Alcts can help you learn about job opportunities and open professional doors. In fact, one of the areas we are focused on improving is outreach to library students so that Alcts can help bridge the sometimes difficult transition from grad school to employment. As part of these outreach efforts, experienced Alcts members will be attending the upcoming LIS career fairs at the University of Michigan, Simmons, and the University of Maryland to discuss the many benefits to Alcts membership. We hope to see some of you there. Alcts offers numerous service opportunities, as you've heard. In fact, the committee appointment process for the upcoming 2015-2016 term is underway. The section chair-elects and I have been filling out committee rosters, but there's still time to volunteer. I'm committed to appointing as many first-time committee members as possible, so take the plunge and complete the volunteer form. In closing, I'd like to provide my Alcts tip, which is you don't need to attend midwinter or annual conference to serve on an Alcts committee. As Alyssa noted earlier, Alcts developed a virtual member category several years ago as a way of encouraging those unable to travel to still serve the association. Since the majority of Alcts committees conduct their work in between conferences, there's functionally no difference between being a regular member and virtual member. My wife says that I repeat myself constantly, so I'll use that as an excuse to say once again, the greatest benefit you gain from Alcts is collaborating with fellow members on meaningful work, so volunteer for service today. With that, I'd like to turn the program back over to Susan Wynn, Chair of the Membership Committee.
Thanks so much, Norm. So you've heard from a lot of Alcts experts, our officers, and experienced members, and now it's your turn to ask questions. I am just seeing a couple coming in. All right. Oh, here's a wonderful question. Is there a club or interest group for MLIS students? And what ways do you suggest students get involved? Well, the first thing I'll say about students is go ahead and join while you're a student because it's much cheaper to join both Big ALA and Alcts as a student. There's a substantial discount. The other thing that I will mention before I let our other speakers answer this question, because I think some of them will have better answers, is that many library schools have ALA student chapters. And I believe there might be a list of those somewhere on the ALA website. So I'm going to stop there, and I believe Alyssa and Aaron and others may want to weigh in on that question.
Hi, I think a really great group for the students to join would be the new member interest group. We try to bridge that gap in between library school, whether you're currently in it or just leaving it, and also just starting out in the profession. We have a lot of those chats on ALA Connect that we have each month are geared towards that gap of how to manage making that transition and what you can learn now to help you out later as you're trying to get started in the field. And we also do have a designated student chapter liaison on the officers for the new member interest group, and she regularly sends out announcements about what's going on with our group to the ALA chapters on various LIS campuses.
Thanks, Alyssa. Would any of our other speakers like to weigh in on advice for students getting involved?
I will quickly say, Susan, this is Norm, that we are really enthusiastic about bringing in the next generation of Alcts members, which will be the next generation of Alcts leaders. As was mentioned earlier, it is very inexpensive to join Alcts as a student, as it is ALA. I believe it's $35 to join ALA as a member and an additional $15 to join Alcts. If you do that, you have the opportunity to not only become active and start to build that network, but we can really help open doors for you. I think about being a library school student, and that number one most important thing was getting a job. And this is an amazing network of individuals that can really help in that regard. So I would urge you to come join us because there's a lot to be gained, especially early in your career.
Thanks, Norm. We have another really great question that I'm going to take a stab at answering. And this one comes from a person who is primarily involved in another ALA division, but would like to be involved in both that division and Alcts. And this person is asking about discounts on joint memberships. Now, that's a real complicated issue. I will go ahead and say up front. It is something that comes up quite often. The most recent advice that I heard was that joint memberships have been tried in the past. It was a bit financially difficult for both divisions to make it work, but I was advised to keep thinking about it, keep talking about it, keep working on it, because there are possibilities. It might be very difficult. There are also some technical issues involved with ALA systems that make this a little bit complicated, but this issue does keep coming up. The other issue that's a little bit related is discounts for early career, because there are discounts for students and there's a discount for your ALA membership for first or second year, but the divisions don't have a special category of membership for first and second year. That's another question that I'm very interested in. My understanding is there used to be discounts like that. There aren't anymore. Again, these can be very problematic issues given ALA's dues structure and the complexity that's already there, but it's a topic that we keep hearing about, and I think that we need to continue having discussions about it. So I'm sorry I don't have a really great answer for you right now, but I hope that that helps and everyone understands some of the issues that are involved. Would anybody else like to weigh in on that? I think Mary is going to provide an answer in the question box on that as well. So let's move on to the next question. What qualities are you looking for in current library and information science students or recent graduates? That's another good question. Would anyone like to answer that? Actually, that's the question that Mary Page is going to try to answer. But would anyone else like to weigh in?
Susan, if you don't mind, I can just do it right now. I was just starting to type a message to Ariana, but I'll share this with the group. In my opinion, the best librarians are bright, they're inquisitive, they're tech-savvy, and something that's really important to librarians, we hold dear a set of values about access to information. We are adamant about censorship, not liking censorship, and particularly in Alcts, we are devoted to providing access to scholarship, to data sets, to organizing information. Individuals who have a passion for those kinds of things, I think, really would find a good career in librarianship. And you'd be great members of Alcts, I'll just say that too. Thanks.
Thanks, Mary. The next question in my list, okay, I believe this has already been answered, was about the job fair in Maryland, and Norm has answered that question. happening at the Hornbeck Library, main lobby, Thursday, April 16th, 4 to 6 p.m. Alcts will have a table there. That's in Maryland. The next question that I see is, any idea how many Alcts members are from public libraries? And we don't have the answer to that question handy, but, oh, go ahead, sorry.
This is Carrie. No, I don't have that answer. I should have that answer handy as the executive director and as a former public librarian, so I apologize for that. It is a smaller fraction of the division membership, that's no doubt. We do have an interest group for public libraries, technical services in public libraries. I was actually an officer at one point of that. That was also one of our newer ones. So that probably was in the last 5 years. And I do want to remind you that there are many, or at least it feels like many, leaders who are public librarians. One is on the call today. That's Erin. She is at a public library, and she is on the Alcts board. And our past president, Genevieve Owens, is the director of a public library. And some of the people that I know over the years working with Alcts, I've sought out the other public librarians, and I've found a really good network there too. So as you've heard about networking from Mary, from Norm, from others, know that you will find the people who are like you. You will find the people who are institution like yours. Sometimes you have to go a little bit further for them, I guess, and you have to find your little corner of Alcts and ALA to find them, but they're certainly there, and we really do support public libraries. Don't think this is all about academics. And one of the other IGs I want to mention, we do share one with Russo, which is collection development in public libraries, and I always found that as one of the most valuable sessions that I ever go to when I was an ALA member. Thanks.
Thanks, Carrie. The next question that I see is, any tips for a first-time ALA conference goer? Oh, I'm sure we all could spend hours telling you our favorite tips. I will just say a couple of things. ANMIG will have a chat session, which anyone can join as long as you're an ALA, as long as you have an ALA Connect account. They will have a pre-ALA annual chat on that very topic, and it's very good. I highly recommend it. You can also look at archives of their previous chats because they do that same topic, I believe, before every midwinter meeting and every annual conference. So there's a lot of good stuff in the archives as well. The other thing, and I'm going to say this again in just another minute, but if you are able to join us at an ALA annual conference, at every annual conference we have Alcts 101 in person. And so, of course, we'll be in San Francisco. That happens Friday evening. The start time will be 7 o'clock. A lot of details are still left to be decided, but we are also going to have a little after party after Alcts 101 for anyone that wants to come out for beverages. Again, lots more details to figure out on that. So would anyone else like to add anything to that question?
Hey, this is Alyssa. I just wanted to jump in and say that attending the Alcts 101 at an annual conference was the first way that I got involved with Alcts, and I highly recommend it. It's just a really great place to meet some veterans and experts in our field, as well as meet new people, and you'll probably find people that you can kind of buddy up with for the rest of your conference, and you'll be friends with these people by the end of Friday night, and you'll have people that you can say hi to as you go to session throughout the rest of the conference. So I really recommend it as a low barrier, not intimidating way to start your conference experience, and then to help expand it and make it a really good experience as you go through the rest of those 4 or 5 days. And don't forget to come to that after party. We don't have a lot of details yet, but we are going to gather after Alcts 101 that Friday night of annual conference. So we hope to see you there.
Thanks, Alyssa. And 101, I'll just add, is not only a great place to learn about Alcts, but you'll also get a lot of great tips about navigating the conference, because one of the things that we do is each section will kind of gather up a list of events of interest going on at the conference, and they'll share those with the attendees. The format of 101 is like speed networking, and you just go to different tables and have very informal conversation. We have experienced Alcts members on hand at each table, and it's extremely low-key and informal. The whole point is just, is to interact, so don't be afraid, to ask your questions there. Okay. I think I'll move on to the next question. Does the advocacy portal mentioned at the beginning contain publicly available resources, and if so, how do we get to it? I have provided a link to that advocacy page. We have gathered up everyone's pro tips that they shared and put them on the end of the slides, and so you will have that when you get your slides. And I think I'm 95% sure that a lot of those resources don't require any kind of membership to be able to access. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong about that. Okay, and I'm going to move on to the next question unless another speaker stops me. I teach an organizing and managing resources course as an adjunct. Are there groups that can connect me with other people who teach these kinds of courses, or is this too specialized? Let's see. In our internal chat, Norm has suggested that perhaps this could become an interest group. It is relatively easy to form a new interest group. All you need is a petition with 10 names of people who are interested in being involved. And a good way to find potential people to join with you on that is sending a message to Alcts Central. Would anyone else like to jump in on that?
This is Carrie, and as I mentioned, I am still a bit new, but I know that we do have an interest group. It was for education. Competencies in education for career and cataloging is one of our interest groups, so you might find some birds of a feather there.
That is a really good interest group. I have been to some of the programming that they have arranged at conferences, and it's very good. They also share their materials. A lot of Alcts groups do a really good job of sharing the materials that are presented at conferences for those who can't go, because we do understand that it's very difficult sometimes to travel to conferences. Thanks, Carrie. Okay, and I'm not seeing any other questions coming in on the question box. I'm going to circle back around to and mention that one of my colleagues on the membership committee made in an internal note to me here, and an event that we did at the last midwinter meeting just a month or so ago was called Coffee and Chat with Alcts. And that's another informal opportunity to get to know other people in Alcts. We did it for the first time at midwinter, and we have not decided yet whether we'll do a coffee and chat event at annual this year, but we probably will do that at midwinter again. So that will be another opportunity to sit down with Alcts colleagues in a very informal setting. Okay, and I see a new question has just come in. Is the association only open to librarians, or can library technicians join? Excellent question. Absolutely, it is open to paraprofessional staff, whatever your title is, library technical assistant, library specialist, anything like that, students, librarians. Yes, it is for anyone who is interested in or works in these areas. I believe we do have a discounted dues category for support staff. I can't remember off the top of my head what the dues rate is for support staff, but I believe there's a discount for joining for them. Okay, so I'm not seeing any other questions coming in. I'm going to ask our speakers if they have any final thoughts at this point.
I'll jump in, Susan. I'm not sure who among us mentioned this earlier. It may have been Erin, but please don't hesitate to reach out to any one of us, any other Alcts member or leader to learn more about this association. We are a very welcoming group. We are very open, and just don't hesitate. You know, I wouldn't want any one of you to go away from today's webinar with some interest but not willing to kind of, you know, reach out and make that connection, because it can be transformative. It has certainly transformed my career, and I know I'm not alone in saying that. So, you know, please don't hesitate. We'd love to have you join us.
I heartily agree with that, Norm, and I would say that if it were not for my Alcts work, I would probably not have the confidence to do what I'm doing today. So one final quick thought from the questions. Erin Boyd has located the dues rate for support staff for joining Alcts, and that is $25. Now that is for Alcts. There's of course, you join ALA first, and there's also a discounted dues for support staff for ALA as well. So thanks, Erin, for finding that answer. And I'm just going to wrap up since we're getting close to the end of our time with a few helpful reminders. Several people have talked about volunteering for Alcts committees. Here is a link to that form. There's also some advice about volunteering and a lot of useful information that you need to fill out that form, as well as some information about interest groups if that is something that you want to look into. I also want to put in a little plug for Preservation Week, an Alcts initiative that we do every year, and this link here will give you more information about that. We've already talked a little bit about Alcts 101. We do that every year at annual conference. If you're going to be in San Francisco, we would really, really love to see you. Friday night, 7 o'clock. Details on where it will be and other things like that will be coming along, but it's a really fun time. And also, one last reminder to look for the evaluation for this webinar. We would really love to hear your feedback on it. I need to acknowledge some people who made this webinar possible. Our 2014 Emerging Leaders team, their names are listed here. They created a template for Virtual Alcts 101, and this webinar is only part of that initiative. So we are really trying to implement many of their wonderful ideas over the coming months. So thank you, Emerging Leaders Team D. We also had some wonderful tech support and training from the Alcts Continuing Ed Committee, Mary Reeder and Kat Ballack. Thank you so much for your help. As always, we acknowledge our fantastic Alcts office. And I'm sorry I left out Maddie's name. I did not have that at the time. Here is contact information for me, Alyssa, and Dina. Unfortunately, Dina could not be with us today, but she is the other co-chair of ANMIG this year. She happens to be snow and icebound in Kentucky at the moment, so we really miss her, but she is definitely wants to hear from people if you have questions. You can also connect with ANMIG on Facebook and Twitter. And we also have Elaine's contact information for any questions you have about affiliate groups. She would love to hear from you. And our final two slides, we have collected all of our tips here. I won't go over these again, but just so that you know that they are here in the slides for your future reference. So I would like to thank all of our speakers once more. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. It's been a real pleasure for us to be able to spend this time with you. I realize that this format may not be as it's not as welcoming and friendly as an in-person event, but we hope that you have gotten some good ideas, and now you know our names and have seen our faces at least, and please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. We would like to connect with you in any way that you are interested in doing that. So thanks again to everyone, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we hope to see you again soon, virtually or in person, at another Alcts event. Thank you.